So I think this is a tough time to kind of build on all of the coronavirus pandemic preparedness and
Hmm.
add on top of that hurricane preparedness. But
Yeah.
anyone who's a Floridian knows how important it is. So we just want to make sure that we're, doing what we normally do at this time of year. And June 1st is when we got to kick it into high gear. So what is your recommendation as far as, you're talking to parents and how they can just make sure that they're stocked up on the right supplies?
Yeah. So I think, from a medical standpoint, we always want to make sure that you have a good stockpile of your child's medication. If you're on the verge of needing a refill, go ahead and, get that refill done. Maybe even talk about with your doctor about having a backup supply of that medication. And then, of course, if you have a newborn or a baby in general, stocking up on diapers and wipes and formula, right? Because unfortunately, we may not have access to formula right away for several days as, crews come in and help us open our stores back up. So always be prepared with those basic essentials is important.
Are those essentials that have already been kind of worn thin at this point? Is it going to take extra time to prepare for hurricane season this year?
Yeah, that's such a great point. So when you look at the store shelves, right, things are definitely missing. So I think that's great. Now is a time when you're going to start seeing products come in, and some people may already have a nice little stockpile because they stockpiled in March and April. But now is to kind of rebuild those resources and have them ready for when hurricane season is here.
So you talked about medications, and also the formula being a big key, supply that you need, but also just those everyday, I'm sure, diaper rash creams and diapers in general. Those are things that I have seen off the store shelves right now. So maybe something to stock up on if you can.
And anything that you think is going to be essential for your child that your child is going to need and you use on a regular basis, it's always a good idea to have plenty of that on hand. And then, we talk about babies, but, a lot of moms breastfeed, and some moms actually just pump their breast milk and store it in a refrigerator or freezer. So I always like to tell moms to think about, if your power goes out, that precious supply of breast milk you have in your freezer, what is your plan for that? Can you take your breast milk to somebody else's house who may have a generator if you don't have a generator, or who has a whole home generator, right? Or have a backup battery supply for your freezer, because those are real things, and it would be obviously so upsetting to somebody to lose their entire supply of breast milk, potentially have to feed their baby with, right?
Yeah, that's a really good point. I think also just the supplies that parents kind of depend on, and I hate to bring up the iPads because maybe your kids really love their wooden block set.
Yeah.
Whatever it is that parents use and kind of depend on for distraction purposes is also probably important.
Right. So we always say it's always nice to create a little, kit for their kids. I think being in the situation that we've been in for the past few months, people have probably gone through those kits and used all I know we're pulling out every craft we have like shoved in our closet, like, oh, we haven't used this in 3 years. Let's do it. Why not? I got nothing else to do. But this might be a great time to kind of maybe go to the stores and get some more crafts for your kids or things to do just to kind of keep them entertained. But then if you do have a kiddo who loves their iPad, then having a backup charger, having it well charged all the time, especially if a hurricane's coming with potential to lose power. And that's when your batteries come into place, right? Not only for your flashlights and all those other good things, but sometimes we all kind of keep our sanity, let our kids have their devices for a short period of time would be good as well.
Yeah. And you brought up the generator as, something that, especially with, the breast milk, but I do wonder if parents are going to be thinking ahead this year, as far as generators go compared to years past.
Yeah, I mean, we all get in that panic mode when we know that there's a storm on the horizon, right? And that we're in the cone of uncertainty. So, and then that's when you start to see the generator sales. But, if you and your family can sit down and say, you know what, I think we can budget to have a generator this year, this would be a great time to get that, just because it does give you the ability to keep your refrigerator running and other, items in your house that you need to charge, like your cell phone or radios or that kind of thing. So it's a good point.
Yeah, and I just think people have this preparedness top of mind, because they've already been thinking about how to prepare for coronavirus and the possibility of staying at home for, X amount of weeks. So that could be a priority. 2020 hurricane season, who knows?
Well, it's to talk up with your kids about, what to expect. So I think we've had these difficult conversations with our kids on all kinds of different levels with the coronavirus. And what does that mean? What, should you be scared? But talking with your kids about what to anticipate, you should expect that, the power might go out, and that's okay if it does. And here's our flashlight that we're going to use, and here's where our stuff's going to be. This is our plan. If the power does go out, we're going to go to this room together, and and give them that anticipatory guidance so that they're not as fearful when it actually happens. Also, letting kids see the TV in short amounts of time is a good idea, because it can, as an adult, we're able to process the information, but sometimes it can be overwhelming to children when there's constant media, and then the fear can be very, very real for them. So I think also being mindful of that would be helpful.
Yeah, I've heard parents say that the apps are really helpful, so that they can get those updates and alerts, but not necessarily, blast them out to everybody in the room.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Yeah, absolutely. Make that part of your resources.
Yeah, I just think that that's part of the good thing that technology has brought on. Let's also talk about mental health, because you mentioned those conversations that we're having with kids and how to kind of keep them feeling like they're part of the plan. And I know kids are coping, and they have different coping strategies. So what are some good points for parents when it comes to mental health and the hurricanes?
So I think, like we talked about, obviously giving that anticipatory guidance is going to be really important to kids. But getting them involved, letting them know that we're a team, we're a family, talking through those anxieties, and asking your kids if there's anything they're scared of, because a lot of times anxiety in children can present as just belly pain, and maybe their stomach hurts, and they're not really understanding what's causing that discomfort in them, when definitely it could be anxiety. And then after the storm, if, let's say, something terrible does happen, you lose power, or you have a bunch of trees down in your yard, making your kids involved in the process. Let's go outside. Why don't you help me pick up some sticks and those kind of things, and helping them be a part of it with their team and their family would help them ease their anxiety.
Yeah, I think as much as you can communicate with them and keep them involved in the conversation without, bombarding too much information.
Right.
It's a delicate balance.
Always a good thing. So.